You're listening to the StudioPTBO Podcast, where we talk all things marketing to help you build and grow your business online. Welcome to the latest episode. Welcome to the StudioPTBO Podcast. We are back, and we're back at it again with another guest. So exciting. It is Saturday. It's kind of gloomy here today in Peterborough, but we have a guest, so that's something super exciting to be excited for. Neil, how you doing, man? Things are good? Life is good?
Really good, man. Yeah, it was actually sunny this morning, so I was hooping on the driveway for a couple hours, dreaming of my Raptors. Hopefully they'll be back sooner than later. But yeah, we're super stoked now to have on a guest from New York. His name is Dustin Lee, and it's Dustin, not Justin, which we're going to get into a little later. Why people call him Justin when his name is Dustin, but I got his name right. So right off,
which is actually really big, considering the fact that we went through multiple episodes of you not saying the guest's name right. So this is actually pretty impressive.
I am terrible with names, Dustin. I don't know what it is. I have pretty good memory recall in general, but I can't remember names. It's always been a bit of a liability for me, but it is what it is. You know, you can't be perfect. Well, but yeah.
I appreciate you getting it right.
Yeah. So literally his Twitter handle is Dustin, not Justin. Like that's an actual brand. Like you realize as you scale, like you should have like hats and toques and tees and hoodies and
maybe one day.
But yeah, welcome to the show. So Dustin, maybe give us a little backstory. I know you've been working with Gary Vee with VaynerMedia for 2 years now.
Yeah.
How did you? I know it was a bit of a hustle and a grind. Give us a bit of the backstory of how you landed at Gary Vee.
So I applied I didn't like have any connections with Gary or anyone on the team at all. They put out a video in like late September of 2017. It just said like looking for content creators. It was on Gary's YouTube. There was like a link in the description. I just applied and got rejected. Like I think in a week. I think it was from Justin Novello, and yeah, it just said no, sorry, we're not. Or like we're gonna have to pass on this. I'm like, all right, I guess that's it. And then I think I forget if there was another one that came up or I just tried again. I don't remember exactly, but I did apply again at one point, and that was probably like 4 months later, got rejected again. But then for some reason, like a month later after that, someone hit me up. I forget if it was Justin or Andy, just saying, hey, would you be interested in it? Or would you want to come in for an interview? And I said, sure. So I went in, I think that was around February of 2018. Met with Andy, met with like Iris and Seth when Iris was still there, and Seth, and they gave me like a homework assignment. Went home, did it, finished it the next day, sent it to Andy, never heard from him again. I was like, all right, I guess I fucked up. So then I was like, all right, I guess that's it. That's the end of that. And then in June, I was out riding my bike. I was actually trying to like film a tutorial for YouTube, and then Andy like interrupted my tutorial. He called me. I picked up and he's like, hey, are you still interested in the job? And I was like, yeah. And he said, can you come in tomorrow? I'm like, okay. So then that's it. From there, I after like the first month, it was like a trial. He told me it was going to be kind of like a trial period, like just to see if I'm like good enough. So like I took that really seriously. I went there my first couple weeks, and then just like
crushed it.
Yeah, I just like I zoned in and I just worked as hard as I could. Yeah, I was like every single day I was like, fuck, they're gonna fire me, aren't they? Like that's just how, like the approach I went with. I mean, it's negative, but I mean, it was just, I guess, my way of just staying motivated, just like to keep going.
Yeah, and you didn't come from a traditional agency world. Like you basically were a self-starter. So your background, you had said you worked various jobs in different sectors. I think at one point you wanted to be a police officer, and then you studied criminal justice, and then you went into IT, didn't like that. And then you decided to go out and start your own YouTube channel around BMX and just a self-starter, and you were motivated by Gary himself to do that. And sort of walk us through the psychology of that, because a lot of people, like Gary deals with every day when he speaks to people, are kind of stuck in the mud, right? And they never get out of it. And he's like, well, what's the harm in just not trying, not going for it? So what actually motivated you to go out on your own, and what kind of feedback did you get from those close to you?
So, well, I was first doing, like, right after I graduated college, I was working at a book printing. It was like a brokerage company, so it was business related. But I was doing that for like 7 years, and just thought an opportunity came up to go into IT, but I was like, I have no idea how to do, I don't know anything about computer science. But my friend was like, no, don't worry, like a monkey can do this. So I was like, okay. So then I went to that job, and I was like, fuck, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And every single day, it was like that cliche shit where like people are like at their desk and just like pretending to work like all day. Like, that's really what I was doing. Like,
it was The Office.
Yeah. And I was like, I didn't know what I was doing. And like, some people are cool with that, where like they just like to do a job that's like very little to do, and it's just like whatever. But for me, I was just like, I just hated the fact that like I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I was not in control of anything. And like, I'm just, at any point I was like, I'm gonna get fired. Like, that was a real reason. Like, I'm gonna get fired. Like,
you're like, I would fire me.
Yeah. Like, seriously, like, I was just sitting there all day, and my bosses would come by like, what are you doing? I'm just making up bullshit, like lying to their faces. And I'm like, oh, like I just hated that feeling so much. And then so that was around like 2016, I heard Gary on the radio, like our local radio station that he was on. And he was just talking about like just being at a job that you hate and all that, all the usual Gary V stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That was like the first time I discovered him, and I was like, I didn't like quit my job the next day, but like
thought about it.
Yeah, I was just like, it started like marinating things in my head. And then I randomly came across that Jim Carrey commencement speech that he did, where he said, like, he was talking about how his father like got laid off and all this stuff. And it's like, why would you be at a job that you could fail at, when you could just, if you're going to fail at something, you might as well do something that you love. And I was like, damn, like that really hit me. And then also I had a bunch of friends that were YouTubers. Like, they were pretty, like, in the BMX world, they were like pretty big YouTubers. And I was like, okay, like maybe I could do this too. So then I quit my job eventually, maybe like 8 months after I first heard Gary. And then, yeah, I just took a leap of faith, and I tried the YouTube thing for like 2 years. It was so much harder than I thought. Like, I thought it would be like, oh, I'll have 100K in like a couple months. Like,
didn't work that way. I think we lost him there for a second there. Internet, good old internet. Neil, you can hear me though, right?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah,
I think we lost him in his internet. So
okay,
it's really interesting to while we wait for him to kind of kick back in, because I think he'll eventually kick back in here. This is the joys of streaming right now, kicking in, kicking out, and we're going through some really strange times, because we generally don't have a whole lot of these issues, but it's just trying to learn how to pivot on the fly more than anything. And just
totally. And you've had that too, issues at home where you'll be taping a show and it'll kick out on you and it just.
Oh yeah. So he's here. He's going to be, he's trying to get back in here.
Yeah. Are you going to let him back in?
I'm going to let him back in here.
Yeah. We're going to wrap him for this, right?
Yeah. His internet,
Hello.
What's happening?
I don't know why that always happens for some reason.
Yeah. That's okay, as long as it doesn't happen on T with Gary V. You're fine.
Yeah, exactly. Like, luckily, that's when it doesn't happen. But
yeah. No, welcome back, man.
Thank you.
Cody, you're going to ask him a question?
Yeah, I'm just curious, like, how you got into the video world, and like, not even how you got into it. We chatted about that, but like, what inspired you to choose video content creation over anything else? Like, I think I heard something on your channel the other day about you not having experience with streaming, and you just kind of got thrown into streaming now, and you're figuring out how to do it on the fly. what initially sparked you, you know, when you heard that Gary V and that Jim Carrey commencement speech, be like, I'm going to do video? Like what inspired that?
I mean, I've always liked working with video. Like when I was, like, I didn't realize this until like a couple of years ago, but when I was 14, I would do like BMX video edits, doing like the double VCR method, just put 2 VCRs on top of each other and then pretty much edit and then like add audio to it by just plugging in a Walkman into one of the audio ports, like really scrappy, like sketchy stuff. And I always enjoyed doing that. But then it was just like something that this was in the early 2000s where it's like, okay, this is not going to be a career. Like there's no way this is going to be a career. So I just never thought of it as anything. So it was just more of a hobby. But then when I did quit my job, I don't know if you heard me, but I had a couple of YouTuber friends that were pretty decent on YouTube, and I figured like, okay, maybe that's something I can pursue also. Because I also did just like doing like a lot of weird creative things. Like I did stuff on Instagram a lot just for fun, like just like little edits and like memes and stuff like that. And I figured, okay, like I think I like working with video, but I didn't realize I'd hate being in front of video. Like that's something I didn't really enjoy.
You're not a vlogger, are you?
Yeah. I mean, I tried, but it's
not your thing.
It just wasn't for me. And that's how I realized, like, when I was editing my vlogs, like I did like the editing part a lot. Like whenever I did my like little crazy side, like video game edits or something like that, like fake, like I did a video where it looked like I was in a video game and I was editing all that. And it was like hours of time that took, and it just went by like that. And I was like, oh, like I wasn't even like stressed out when I was editing it. So that's when I like really, like it was just really like a switch clicked in my head where it was like, wow, this is like really what I like to do. And that's when I realized like I just liked editing. And so then when I started working for Gary, like that's initially what I was supposed to be doing, just editing. Like I wasn't, like I did want to film because I wanted to be closer to Gary and just do more video stuff, like pretty much do what D-Rock does. And like somehow so with Seth, there was a guy on our team that used to be on our team. His name was Seth. He was handling all of Gary's streaming stuff, his podcast stuff. He moved on to Vayner Talent, a different department in Vayner Media. And then he's like, okay, you're going to be doing this from now on. I'm like, I don't know what that, yeah, I'm like, I don't know how to do this. He's like, oh, it's easy. I'm like, oh, crap. Oh, here we go again. And he would just like, he gave me the instructions, like, oh, God, fuck, like that was a lot of information. I have no idea how to do that. But
how did you get trained on it? Like, you know, maybe walk us through that process of streaming, because you guys have a pretty like crazy streaming setup with with Gary. So like maybe walk us through exactly what you're doing from a streaming perspective.
Yeah, and even, sorry to interrupt, Cody, how you pivoted, because I know you pivoted from using Zoom to a new app called StreamYard.
Yeah.
Yeah, so walk us through that, because that's fascinating to me. You had to literally figure this out. The pandemic hit one day, and the next day you're doing it.
Yeah. I mean, we were sent home like in early March, and like a week later, Gary's like, I want to do a video content like from home, and I'm like, fuck, I don't know how to do this. So then I just Googled like what kind of ways we can stream to each other, or like I think my girlfriend was using Zoom for her work reasons, and I was like, okay, maybe that's something we could do. We started off with Zoom. I was familiar with OBS because we use it for Ask Gary V and stuff like that when we were in the office. So I was like, okay, maybe I could connect Zoom to OBS somehow. And I just fiddled around with it, and then I got it to work. I was like, okay, cool, sweet, that works. But the first version of Tea with Gary V was like I was doing window capture with OBS, and I just didn't like the quality of it. Like, I guess because it's like direct video feed, like constantly going, that it was just really staticky, and like the quality wasn't very good. And I was like, oh, like maybe there's a way I could do this better. And then I figured out this. I mean, I should have figured it out right away, but I started switching to display capture, so using my second monitor, and that was way smoother. But anytime I would say, or like my cat would meow or something, you would see the message come up on my screen that says like you're on mute right now, like unmute to like turn on the mic, and I'm like, fuck. And it came up on the screen a couple of times, and you could see it in like the first versions of Tea with Gary V. I was like, this feels so ghetto. I'm like, this sucks. So then I had a couple DMs from people like giving me suggestions, and I was like, I don't know, whatever. And then this one guy named Ben Barber, he just DM'd me, like, he's like, hey, you should check out StreamYard. It's really good. And I did blow him off at first. I was like, oh, whatever. Cause like, I just have too much shit to do. Like, I don't have time to figure this out. But then I was like, one weekend, I was like, all right, let me try to give this a shot. So I went to StreamYard and I fiddled around with it. And I was like, okay, this seems like something we can do. It does have some limitations, but overall, like, it just seemed way smoother. Video quality is way better. I think audio was less complicating. Where like before, I would have to reroute all the audio from Zoom to OBS, and it was just kind of a mess that I didn't really like. But yeah, so then I did a podcast with him, Ben, through StreamYard, and I was like, oh, this is actually like really good. So I just started switching, and I was like, Gary, we should switch over to this. And he's like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. he doesn't care. Like, he really doesn't care. And I'm like, yeah, let's switch.
As long as it works, right?
Yeah. As long as it works. And what he loved the most was he's able to see the chat on the side. Like, so he sees all the comments that people are leaving.
You can see him reading that now.
Yeah.
And so in real time, he can be, contextualizing to the person he's talking to.
Especially with Gary, how he says he loves reading comments. Like,
he really does.
Yeah, he really does. Like, he's always, I could see when I'm watching him, even interacting with someone, I'm watching him and he's reading the comments coming in at the same time. And it's like, he loves comments.
Incredible mind how he can contextualize in real-time conversations happening. Now, for people that don't follow Gary V, and this show basically started in the pandemic, Tea with Gary V, and then a new one you launched, I believe it was last week, called Coffee and Commerce, which is really cool too. I'm watching both as much as I can when I'm not on Zoom calls and business calls at my end. But you're literally the producer of those two shows right now.
Yeah.
Like, literally, for people, we always encourage people to be able to be nimble and pivot quickly and just figure it out, man. And you kind of did on like YouTube. Like, you just go into YouTube and you can teach yourself like Cody's done. Cody had no experience, and now he's our video director. Now he runs Facebook lead ads, and all he did is teach himself everything. It's not rocket science. But what do you say to that? Were you at first intimidated and kind of thrust into that role, and then you're like, I'm just going to do it, man. Like, what choice do I have? And you're literally a TV producer now.
Yeah, that's really it. Like, I was like, nobody, like, so I was doing Ask Gary V for Gary, like when we're in the office. Like, I was pretty much the only person that was running the cameras and all that stuff and setting up the live stream for him. So nobody else really knew how to do it. Like, they probably could figure it out. I'm not saying like they can't. It's just I was the one that was always doing it. So it's like, okay, now you got to figure this out. And like you said, I really had no choice. I had to figure it out. So that's like, it's a scary thing to be like just thrown into something that you have no idea how to do. But I think in my case, like I am interested in this. Like, I was interested. I'm obviously interested in video, and I want this to work. And I also just want to please Gary. So like, yeah, I just like, fuck, I got to figure this out. And I did a bunch of tests for myself and stuff like that.
That's so cool, man. Like, you know, the belief in your ability to figure things out is something that, like, you know, we talk a lot about. And just like, you know, I've thrusted myself into, you know, getting connected for lead generation ads, like Neil mentioned, and, you know, running those like campaigns for clients, and, you know, starting our video division. I'm really curious to know, because, you know, whenever we have content creators on the show, like, because we work with, you know, small, medium-sized businesses, they can't always afford to hire like a video crew to follow them around, like similar to Gary V does. Like, what advice would you have for them that, you know, Gary constantly says, put out more content, more content. What advice would you have for a small business, a medium-sized business, even maybe a realtor that is looking to create content for themselves, but, you know, not have it take up all their time? So, you know, what advice would you have for them?
I mean, I'm not sure, because like, I'm not in that position, but I guess like if I would search, like go to like Facebook groups maybe and search for people that are willing to do that stuff. There's a lot of people in Gary's First in Line group that are willing to work for free, and they just want to like be involved. And I'm sure like I'm sure there's people out there that are willing to do it, but obviously they want to do it for Gary because they like him. So I understand that, like not wanting to do it for just some random guy. I completely understand that, but there's still definitely people out there that just want to get their foot in the door. And I think they just don't know where the door is. So I think it's like, it takes two to tango. So like both people have to reach out to each other, in my opinion. But I mean, if they really do want to make content, they should hire someone, like even someone, I'm sure someone will do it for like $27K a year. Like someone will do it just to get paid something. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I was making minimum wage when I first worked for Gary for like an entire year. Like luckily, like I was with my girlfriend and we lived together. So it's like my expenses weren't too crazy, but like I was willing to do it just because I wanted to get my foot in the door.
That's so cool, man. I love that attitude and perspective. And so walk us through what does mindset mean to you? So Gary is obviously a huge proponent of that, like glass half full, rose-colored glasses, be the best version of yourself, live your best life. Did you not fall prey to it, but because it's real, like it's authentic, but have you even bought into it more since working with him? Has your attitude toward life changed? Do you have even more gratitude than you already did? Or walk us through that.
Yeah, so much more. Like, I mean, I'm so grateful that I do get to work for Gary, just because, not because like also like just not for a professional reason, but like I'm watching his content all day long, and
Like a fan.
Yeah, like, and people, like a lot of people get sick of him, but I haven't yet. But yeah, it's like, it is like what Gary says sometimes, where he says sometimes something doesn't click until like someone puts it, the analogy in the way, when he puts the analogy in the right way, where it just like, for some reason it connects with you. Like I've listened to a lot of his stuff for a long time, and there was just a lot of things that I was like, what the fuck's he talking about? Like, I don't even know what I don't know what he's saying. Like, I don't understand it. Like, I remember seeing that first, like one of the first videos that I saw where he was talking about like judging yourself. And I was like, what? I don't know what the fuck that means. And then like, it was one day, like I was filming him at this, this pizza podcast thing he was doing. And he just put the analogy where it really related to me, where it's like, he was saying like, he shouldn't be here. Like this is a lot of his friends would say this is a waste of time for him to do this podcast this late at night. He has work the next day. Like, what the fuck's he doing here? But he said he doesn't judge himself. Like, that he decided to spend his time with his friends doing this, and that's it. Like, whatever, I don't care. And that just like really related to me, because like I judge, like I did that to myself. I'm like, fuck, why am I here? Like, I shouldn't be doing this. I should be doing that instead, or I should be spending time with this instead. And then that's just helped me a lot, where it's like I'm doing this podcast. Like I could be working, I could be making more clips for Gary, but I'm just like that's just gonna, if I do that, that's just gonna stress me out more. So I'd rather do this, just like talk to people and just, like whatever. I'm not gonna judge myself anymore. Like if whatever decision I do is just like, my intent isn't to be like whatever. Like my intent is good. So it's like, as long as my intent is good, then I'm just gonna do whatever like feels right. And that's just how, like I've just tried and been doing that more. But like I will admit, like initially, like I love Gary and I love the positivity and all that, but when I first joined that company, like I was still very like pessimistic and negative, and I was judging people, and it's like a lot of the stuff he says, like it's not going to happen overnight. Like, and I believe that too. Like it's something I'm constantly working on myself to like try to be better, try to just be nicer, and try to judge people less. Like, and like seeing negative comments, and like not like whenever I would see a negative comment before, like I would flip out and like try to just try to say something wise back to them. But now I'm just like,
you don't take the bait. Just
yeah.
Like,
I'm trying to just be more empathetic to people. Like, okay, maybe he doesn't know me. Like he's just being,
they have their own shit, right? People like that, they have their own baggage, and they're not necessarily, if they're judging you, they're judging everyone, right?
Right. And it's just like,
yeah.
And especially on social media, where it's like, I can't change someone's mind by like leaving a comment back. Like, it's not going to change their mind. They have to do it themselves. So it's like, what's the point of me being like an asshole back. So it's like, it's not going to change their mind. They're not going to be like, oh, you're right. Like if I'm being an asshole. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, that's just something that I'm constantly just working on myself to like try to be better.
Very cool.
Where do you think that, wanting to work on yourself comes from? A lot of people I find, especially, we can relate this back to even the entrepreneurial community. We started doing fireside chats on a weekly basis every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard, just for business owners, because they were down and out about everything that was happening in the world. The businesses were closing. Like, how do you find that inner strength, or how did you, like, specifically in your circumstance, how did you find that inner strength in order to want to change, in order to want to have different perspective, in order to really be empathetic towards somebody else's situation and really push yourself to become a better version of yourself? Like, how did that all come about? Obviously we know from Gary, but what was kind of going on in your head, and like as you were progressing throughout what you were doing at Team Gary V? Like, what was it? Your surroundings? Like, what exactly was it?
It's like both. Like, I do have a problem where I do care about other people's opinions a lot. Like, but in this case, it's just more like I don't want Gary to think that I'm a piece of shit. That's like kind of why. So it's like I'm using it in a reverse way than like caring about him, like not thinking I'm a piece of shit. I don't know how to like word that right, but yeah, I just want it, like I don't want him to think that I'm a shitty person. So it's like kind of like using that mentality to like make myself better. But also it just wasn't a good feeling to like feel like a shitty person also, because like something that I made a while ago was like I made like a meme account that was pretty much trolling on people and like just getting people pissed off a lot. And I realized that I was making that because it was really me not being happy with myself and just kind of like putting that on other people to like make them
together. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just didn't like that feeling anymore, because it's like, what's the point of all this? Like, so I just wanted to switch everything. And yeah, it's just not a good feeling.
It's true. Like, it's like Babin, when we interviewed Babin, he said the same thing as you. He's like, before he worked there, he's like, no, Gary's he's not going to be that real, like that authentic, but he really is. He really does has that impact on people in his close circle too. He's the real deal. And it's so cool, man. And I think that's why he's inspiring people around the world. And he is going to buy the New York Jets. Like, I 100% believe he is going to, because you have to have that North Star in life and your goals, like you did. Your goal was to work at VaynerMedia, and you never gave up. Like, you tried and tried and tried, and dreams do come true, man. It's just amazing. And speaking of opinions, I have an opinion of your TikTok account. It is freaking hilarious.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think so. Dustin, to me, has another side to him. And I don't know him that well. I mean, I've just been researching him the last week, but he's really funny. Like, he's quirky. You got a comedic side to you, and your TikToks really, to me, TikTok is the most authentic platform to me ever invented, in terms of people showing their true self and no bullshit, no gloss. And I love TikTok. Like, I'm totally quirky, so I throw stuff up there. My daughters are on TikTok, and I'll go in TikToks with them, and vice versa. Like, I think it's the most wide demographic ever in terms of letting people, in with their folks, and vice versa. It's okay to be. So walk us through your mentality with TikTok. I know Gary's a big proponent of himself, being authentic, storytelling, but also the quirky factor. Walk us through that. I love your TikTok account. So
thank you. Like, when I first joined TikTok, I mean, I saw very little dancing stuff. It was a lot of like just comedy stuff, and like geared towards me. And I was like, wow, there's so many people that are out here, like, so creative. Like, they're just like either like really funny or just think so differently compared to like what I usually see on Instagram. And I was like, man, this is so interesting. Just and I was just so creative. Like so creative. Like, it was unbelievable. Like, I was like, holy shit. Like, I didn't think there was that many creative people out there. Like,
that's what I think.
Yeah. Like it makes me feel like so dull. But yeah, I just always like I'm a huge Seinfeld fan, so I just always like that type of humor, and like Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh, Larry David's awesome.
Yeah.
I love Larry David. He's the best.
And for those that don't know, Justin.
Yeah. I knew you were gonna fuck it up eventually.
It's a real
like
problem.
What did I say? Happens from Tallahassee. I couldn't get that right.
Yeah, it's in his like. It's literally in his bubble. Like on
I honestly did not.
Dustin, not Justin. Like, Dustin. How do you fuck that up?
Yeah, I fucked it up. Dustin, for those that don't know, Dustin, huge Seinfeld fan. So he has a Instagram meme account called Costanzagrams, and it's literally got, I think 430,000 fans. So is that your account?
Yeah, I created that. Like, well, I created it in 2014. There was actually already an account called Costanzagram, not plural.
Okay.
It was basically just like a fan page. He stopped posting, or he or she, I don't know who it was. I asked if I could take it over, got no reply. I was like, all right, I'm just gonna start a new one. And then pretty much did what that person was doing. And then it just started evolving into like memes, and people really liked it. And I just kept going with it. I got lucky where like some big Curb Your Enthusiasm fan account just decided to give me a shout out because I guess he just liked the content.
Kind of blew up.
Yeah, it just blew up from there.
And are you monetizing that, or it's just a creative account? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah. After I quit my IT job, I mean, I was making a little bit of money from it anyway before, but after I quit my IT job, that's really how I got through those 2 years, like just selling mugs, t-shirts, just like shout outs. Like people always wanted shout outs, and selling their own like other accounts selling their own products wanted to sell it on my account. So yeah, I was just enough to get by, but like I was monetizing off of it.
It's pretty cool.
I got another, speaking of TikTok, so it's funny, after I was looking at TikToks last night and I posted this morning, cereal on milk or milk on cereal. I'm like, you're actually right. There's no real justification for pouring the milk over the cereal, because I posted that on Facebook this morning to focus group it. Now this one guy chimed in, he said, you can't get the perfect milk to cereal ratio if milk is added first. I don't know about that. I think it depends on the kind of cereal and the consistency of it. But do you really put the cereal on top of the milk, or was that a joke?
No, that's a joke. The only time, like, I was like, I did it so recently too. Like right after I made that video, I was like, oh, this is the only time this actually makes sense to do this. Was I had like this much milk left in the carton. So I was like, oh crap, there's only a little bit in there. I don't want to put too much cereal and then not have enough milk for it. So then I put the milk in first, then put the cereal in, just because like I only had so much milk. I wanted the ratio to be okay. So that's the only time milk is allowed first.
Context, context is key. Yeah. So that's some great context, man. Like, so like I'm like, I kind of want to wrap up here with like, a question. I think Neil will want to wrap up with a question too. So, Dustin, like when it comes to content creation, what advice would you have to somebody that is just starting out, that is brand new to, creating content? They want to hop into, whether it be, a TikTok account, a Instagram account, they want to do something creative. What advice would you have for them to start?
Well, if it's for TikTok specifically, like it is seriously what Gary says, like take 10 hours, just go on your For You page, look at everything, see what you like, and see if you could relate to it. Because that's what worked for me. I was just on there, just looking at stuff. And then it just started getting some gears going in my own head. We're like, oh, I could do something like that too. Like, oh, I could do that with BMX, or I could do that with a car. And those were one of my best posts. Like anytime like it was something that's kind of trending, but like I did it with my own taste and spin on it.
That's cool.
And it just worked out. I was like, holy shit, like that was great. Like, and I loved it. Like I was really happy with it. Even some stuff that tanked completely, like I was still happy with it just because like I thought it was funny and clever. So for TikTok specifically, I would definitely say look at the For You page. Obviously, if you're new to it, it's going to show you a bunch of crap that you don't like because it doesn't know who you are yet. Like it doesn't know what you like yet.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So then you got to give it a chance to like kind of learn you, even though that sounds kind of creepy. But yeah, it's got to learn what you like. I have zero dancing on my For You page, like literally zero, nothing.
Same here. I can't stand the dancing. It's all tailored to me. It's the most sophisticated algorithm ever.
It is. It's
damn. I'm getting a lot of dancing. Like this is.
I guess that's what you like,
dude.
But for content overall, I think people are just overthinking it a lot, like, and just caring, like me too. Like I have this issue too. I overthink about the content I put out. I overthink about what people are going to say. Like I care about what people are going to say too much, or I'm afraid of like, I'm not going to be able to handle negative comments, but that's something I've been working on, like just getting better at, like just taking both sides and just not really not like overvaluing the positive comments. Cause like that does really fuck you over. Cause you're like, you get this like high. And then when someone puts you down, it's like, you just feel like shit. And it's real. Yeah. Like, so
you're in a public position. So you're getting more of that at that scale working with you. But I would say your TikTok is, I don't know you, but closest to who you are. Like it's hilarious. Like I'd like to see more of that. And what's your lens then on, our tagline for StudioPTBO, our agency, is tell your story. And it sounds simple, but what is your lens on storytelling in general? Has that become a passion of yours? Has it always been a passion? You just didn't know it, but how do you approach storytelling, and what's your lens and sensibility on that?
So I'm not a very good storyteller in my opinion, like, and at least not verbally, like I'm not very good at it, but through content, I think I'm pretty good. For me, I try to focus on the subject, like a lot. If you look at a lot of like the Tea with Gary Vee segments versus what I turn it into on his Instagram, I tighten it up a lot because I figure the audience doesn't need to hear what Gary said 3 different times in less than 60 seconds. Like it's like, okay, he said that once, and it's like, they get it. They understand that point. So I try to like kind of cut to the chase, so to speak. And just, I think for me, people are smarter than we realize. The audience is way smarter than we realize. And I think I don't need to like overstate something. That's in my opinion. Like if you say a statement, they understand the statement. You don't have to re-emphasize it 5 different times.
Keep it simple, stupid, radical clarity, right? And that's
exactly
repetition with what Gary Vee does a lot and what you do. And repetition, stay in your lane, right? Like Cody and I always talk about too. Like, like staying in your lane and being authentic and repeating.
Talk about things you know about. Talk about things that you're passionate about. Yeah, like this, Dustin, man, this has been awesome, and I really appreciate your time, and I really appreciate just your insight on storytelling and content creation, working with Gary Vee, and just really appreciate you taking your time on a Saturday in order to chat with us about, what businesses can do in order to create content, what content creators can do. Just really appreciate your time more than anything.
Thanks for having me on. I mean, I'm nobody, so I feel like I don't. Why the hell am I even here? Like, why do you want to talk to me? Because I don't know. I feel like a nobody. Like
you're somebody, and you're super humble, man, and we're super grateful. And what you're doing there, you're crushing it for them. And again, being able to pivot to those shows like you did that quickly, and those are fantastic shows. How deep you get in the weeds with those shows. I think hopefully he'll keep that going when we get back to normal someday.
Yeah, I know he wants to. It's just, we're going to have to figure out somehow.
Yeah. Time and schedule. But
and like, kind of like the last thing I kind of want to leave with, based on that is like, you're like, and I know Gary says this all the time, and I've heard other people say this, is like, what you think is not exciting to other people is actually exciting to other people.
Yeah.
So us, sitting down and talking about, content creation and marketing and, about TikTok, it's really exciting to us. And I know it's really exciting to our viewers because they're constantly asking questions about, well, how do I even start creating, content on TikTok? So I think there was one really key thing, as we wrap up, that you said about like really observing, the behavior on TikTok. And I think that kind of cross correlates with other, platforms. Like, and, we talk a lot about, Neil and I have talked a lot about over the last couple of years about contextualizing the content for the platform. So, and I see you do that within your content. Like, a lot of what you post on Instagram is different than what you post on TikTok. And, same with what you're doing for Gary Vee. So, I really just want to commend you more than anything for what you're doing. It's awesome, man. And we really appreciate it. Because we wouldn't be inspired with it if you weren't the one behind the actual camera, putting it together. So really appreciate it.
And I only called him Justin once.
Yeah, only once. Only one time. Even though it's in the bottom left-hand corner, still call him Justin. I knew it was going to happen, so it's great.
I'm so used to it anyway.
I know. I don't know what else we can do other than throw up like a big banner in front of your face saying Dustin, not Justin. But even then, it's still probably fucking up. So it is what it is.
Okay,
Thank you, Dustin. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into the Studio PTBO podcast. If you're an entrepreneur, you're a small business owner, we have a free Facebook group called the Studio PTBO Marketing Hacks Group. It's in the comment section below. It's full of entrepreneurs that are just growing and building their business in the online space. We really appreciate your time. Really appreciate you, Dustin.
Thank you for having me on.
Really appreciate you, Neil. Thank you for tuning into the Studio PTBO podcast. We will see you soon.